Hello again, everybody. Yep, it's Ashram again. And after getting some feedback on the Eternal Struggle and grappling with a couple of redesigns and deciding ultimately it was just a lost cause, I went back to the drawing board and made this. I call this one the Skywalk. I was originally going to call it the Tightrope, but it's not really a rope, it's a concrete pillar. So, anywho. Let's talk construction here. Let's fly out and get a better look. More on those footings over there in a minute. So the basic premise. The zombies will once again trundle their way up this half pyramid here, one of these two half pyramids. And we've made these step pyramids kind of like the Eternal Struggle for two reasons. One, I'm still making use of the whole zombies have to slow themselves down to jump up all these things mechanic. That actually does serve to break up large waves of the horde, I've noticed. Also, this actually takes less material than making it just a smooth surface pyramid. If I had done that, I'd have to do a whole other layer of slanted stone blocks to get that look. So you're actually saving resources by building it this way. And you're also making your base more difficult for the zombies to assail. So, win-win. So, once they've come up to the top here, they make their way up to the top, and they've actually got to take a little bit of a drop, and not all of them get it on the first try. And then they've got to do a tightrope walk across here, where, you guessed it, our old friends, the sledges are waiting. Now, originally, I had one of these structures for every cardinal direction with a central platform, and then I had 4 sledges in the corners, the idea being you could bring 2 sledges to bear on any approach at any given time. But that proved a bit problematic, because defending 4 directions by myself was, well, not the best idea in the world. So I eliminated 2 avenues of approach. This cage here, this is mostly an anti-buzzard cage. It's just made of wood. Partially because I don't need anything heavier to repel a buzzard for the couple of seconds it takes for me to hear them turn around and shoot them. But also because this pole is 7 squares long, and that's about as far out as I could get away with putting this platform without risking it collapsing into the pit. So the wooden cage, as opposed to cobblestone or steel or anything else, is also a weight-saving measure, because I do not want this thing falling out from under me. That's also why I've done a double line leading across here. That's for a bit of extra support, as is this little joint here, because otherwise, if I had just done the 2 top lines, it may or may not have supported this without collapsing and without putting extra weight on it, so that's a reinforcing measure. So let's talk construction on these guys. They're mostly cobblestone, except for this area here, which I upgraded to concrete, because that's the area most likely to take some bullet damage from me shooting at zombies as they run towards me. This is not solid, however. If we God mode and sort of ghost in here, you can see it's basically hollow on the inside. The whole backside here is solid, and then I made a spine, sort of, down the middle, and each of these terraces is basically floating and is supported by the end of the structure and by this solid line in the center. So it's very structurally sound, but you save yourself hundreds of construction blocks, cobblestone, concrete, wood, whatever you build this thing out of. You save yourself hundreds of blocks and a lot of resources by building it this way. So anyway, you've probably guessed by now, like I said, they take the tightrope walk across, which is great for lining them up for easy headshots, or I found leg shots are even better, because even if you don't totally blow their leg off, you will cause them to lose their balance, and then they just fall off into the pit. And like I said, some of them don't even get that far. In the process of trying to get up from the top here and fall down onto it, they sometimes will miss and fall straight away. And again, we've got the fisters at an angle, because I do not want to knock them straight backwards. That will just count as a stable landing for them. They'll just fall straight backwards, land on this pole, and get right back up. Or if there's a zombie behind them, they'll fall into that zombie and not really go anywhere. That is very counterproductive. So you put it at an angle, it knocks them straight off of the tightrope. I know it's not a rope, whatever. and down they go. Speaking of which, let's take a look. This pit, I never really paid attention to how deep it was. I'm going to say something on the order of 10 squares deep. And then down here we've got the forest of spike traps. This was originally just a solid mass 2 squares deep of spike traps. I've actually used this for a couple of test horde nights. That's how I decided to drop from the 4 approaches to just the 2, which is why these spikes are so beat up. And also, that was a lot of spikes to build, so I'm just not bothering to restock them. You don't really need them. This fall is so high. This is, like I said, from the ground level, it's at least 10 squares, plus these pyramids are 9 squares high. That's a long drop, and that is going to damage them. It won't kill them, at least not on the first try, but it'll damage them fairly well. So you don't really need the spikes. They certainly don't. Well, I won't say they don't hurt, because that's the whole point. Of course they hurt, but you get the idea. You don't need them, so I kind of went a bit bonkers when I initially put this thing together, and I don't feel like chopping down that much wood every week. So, on either corner, we have ladders leading out. This is partially so I can get down here and work on stuff, or, God forbid, escape and get out if I happen to fall in myself, because, unfortunately, a fall from that height is not fatal, so you can't just die and be done with it. You will have to get out of here somehow. I've got some grating in the floor here, so you can look down and take pot shots if you really want to. I found I don't do that too often. It's good for keeping track of them, but my attention is going to be largely up here. So that's the theory, anyway. Now let's see how she does on a proper horde night. Okay, we're ready to go. I am loaded down with every last bullet I own, which is over-encumbering me slightly at the moment. That's okay, that problem will solve itself in a few minutes. Got some extra concrete on hand so I can repair this platform if need be. Frame rate is janky. Fine, whatever. Here they come. Where are they coming from? Oh, here they are. Okay, so they're going to have to come up this way, so let's get you active, you active. Good, good, good. And again, the stepped nature of the pyramid is forcing them to slow their advance a bit. Oh, you've got to be kidding. I reloaded you a minute ago. What happened? There we go. Okay, well, we'll just pretend that didn't happen. I swear to God, I reloaded that gun. It, like, emptied itself between me quitting the game last time or something, because I reloaded that gun. I don't know what that's about. Anybody else empty? No. No. Just you. What was that all about? Ugh. Whatever. So, interesting thing, if both fisters hit them at once, they sometimes get knocked straight backwards. That could be something to watch out for. And if there's another one right behind him, yeah. But that's okay, so far not bad. Oh, good, good. Alright, then gotta watch out for that. I did think about reducing it to just one access point, but I decided not to for two reasons. The first is supports. I wasn't confident that just supporting it from one side was a good idea. I was worried it might not be, the platform wouldn't be structurally sound at that point. And also, having only one access way, I think, would concentrate the Zeds too much. And that would just overwhelm the defenses and the fisters too quickly and kind of negate a lot of the utility of the base. So, I went with two. So far, it seems to be working okay. Oh, he's stuck between the... That's interesting. He's stuck between the bars. I didn't think they could do that. And again, I skimped a little bit on the construction materials, like I just used plain cobblestone, because, as with the Eternal Struggle, as long as the Zeds have a clear path to you, they're not going to try and destroy the base. If they don't have to destroy anything to get to you, they're just going to run at you. I suppose I could have not put ladders in the pit and just trapped everyone down there, but... well, for one thing, eventually you're going to have to go down there yourself, or God forbid you actually fall down. I wanted a way out. Well, oh, timeout. Spitter. Cop Spit is still going to be a potential issue for this base, because you are rather exposed. I've got some protection from buzzards, but the wood's not really going to do a whole lot against Cop Spit. So, if you see any spitters and you're using this base design, my advice is kill them first. Demos are the really big question mark, but I'm not too worried for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think the sledges trigger a Fister's detonation, and even if they do, all you've got to do is knock them off the bar and into the pit, and they can do all the exploding they want down below. Let's have a little fun. Oh, I forgot. Freaking janky frame rate. I made a discovery. Whoop! I was wondering when you would show up. I freaking hate buzzards. As I was saying, I made a discovery. You actually have to manually light Molotovs now. You can't just chuck them. So, that was interesting the last couple of Horde nights. Nice, Ow. That was unpleasant. Yep, puppies can tightrope walk. Take note. I do like that he does the MP slap, even if it's not really an MP5. Still a nice touch. Well, they're coming from two directions now. To an extent. Leg shots are your friend on this base. I cannot overstate that. And if you can find a mod that gives you a better chance of disabling limbs, even better. And that's game. Where is that spit coming from? Come here, you. Alright, let's just clean up the last bits here. Okay, I think that's all of them, so let's talk how things went. First of all, this guy apparently took too much damage and shut down, so have to be aware of that. There's not a whole lot I can do to protect these guys. I could try to put maybe some kind of half-length shielding around here, try and protect them from collateral damage, but there's only so much you can do with that before you impede their field of view, and I didn't want to do anything to impede their field of view. This base is reliant on these guys doing as much work as possible. So, bit of a trade-off there. In terms of damage to the base, I'm not seeing any damage here. A little bit of nick there. Wood cage is almost totally intact, weirdly enough. Pulls, very minor to nothing at all. Couple of pings over here. Again, this is why I went for concrete on this part and then cobblestone everywhere else, because cobblestone is cheap, but these sections are the ones most likely to take stray bullet shots when you're fighting off the horde. So reinforce that area, because if these things go, your anchor points go, and then you drop straight down, and that would be unfortunate. So yeah, reinforce these definitely. I made these out of cobblestone. If I really wanted to, I could have just made all of these steps out of wood, and it probably wouldn't make a difference, because again, as long as the zombies have a clear path to you with no real obstacles in the way, and no, a stepped path doesn't count as an obstacle, they'll just climb over it. They're not going to beat your base down in order to get to you. They're just going to climb up and come at you straight on. And that's what I'm trying to take advantage of here. So I used a lot of cobblestone to make this. If you just wanted to chop down a whole bunch of trees and make it out of wood, that is actually 100% feasible, as long as this section here, like these top 3 tiers, make sure those are extra strong. Go with concrete. You don't necessarily have to do steel, but you can if you really want to. But make sure that's something nice and durable. Other than that, no, again, a couple of dings here and there, and as you saw, sometimes the zombies didn't even make it onto the poles. They would fall off before they even got near me. So the base performed about as advertised. The sledges do pretty good work. I was missing this guy once he shut down. I didn't see him take too much in the way of spit damage either, so that's a bit bizarre, because all the spit came from like over here or over here, and it wasn't really directed at him. And there's no damage. I never got hurt by cop spit. There's a teeny bit of damage here. Nothing to the platform he's standing on. So, yeah. Well, at least in terms of durability, it held up pretty good. We'll have to fix this guy. But again, even with no sledges at all, this would still be a pretty defensible position, because the zombies have to come at you on this very precariously narrow line. And you can just line up headshots all night, line up leg shots all night, and knock them off. So that's the skywalk. And yes, yep. I don't know, maybe I'll refill these spike traps someday. But again, you don't really need them. I went a bit bonkers when I first built this pit. You don't want to know how much wood I had to chop down to make all these traps. And then, of course, the other thing is, I'll admit this, I have accidentally fallen from here once or twice. The fall does not kill you, but it hurts like a son of a bitch, and it's going to be even worse if you land on a sea of spikes. So if, God forbid, you take the plunge and wind up down here, maybe you don't want a whole bunch of pointy bits waiting on you. So, yeah, the skywalk. There you have it. Not sure what else to say. I'll keep experimenting with other base designs. This one I think I've taken about as far as I can. But I've got a couple other ideas in mind too. And only one of them involves digging another big hole. So, stay tuned for that. Bye.